Okay, can everybody see me okay still?
Mhm. Yep, see your screen.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, well, thank you again, Amy, for doing this. We really do appreciate it. Once I found out I went to a meeting, first of all, and I want you all to know this, and Amy was there and talked about her organization and what they do to help support and address ageism and the activities. I just fell in love with Aging is Cool. And so I always tell everybody as much as possible about your organization and what you do, because I think it's fantastic. I think it promotes, just promotes great health and, and active living as we get older, because that is part of life, right? And it takes it into a good positive attitude. So I always recommend this to everybody, that as we looking for activities to do, to go look up Aging is Cool, talk to them. So I
Thanks.
to say that before we get started, because I truly believe what you're doing is great work. So when we started to do this series, that's why I reached out to you. I was like, oh, I got to have Amy. You're going to have to do this. So tell us a little bit about yourself first, and about Aging is Cool.
Sure. So I have worked with aging as an issue as long as I can remember. This is my 30th year working with older adults, which just blows my mind that that's even real. But I started my career as a social worker, and I worked in nursing homes. I worked in home health agencies, and eventually moved into the nonprofit sector. And my first job in Austin was with the Alzheimer's Association, and it was one of my favorite roles that I ever had. I was the program director for a couple of years, and then eventually moved into fundraising roles. And then from there moved into more executive director roles in the nonprofit world, but always have had a passion for serving older adults. And my husband, Damien, is a fitness instructor. He's worked in the fitness industry for about 16 years now, with the last 8 focused on older adults. And we just kept talking about, most of my career in dealing with this population was the hard stuff, right? It was the nursing homes, and it was the assisted or home health, and really watching people who were ill. And we started talking more about, well, what about the active senior, and what about people who want to keep that kind of positive outlook and want to maintain, as much as possible. And realized that there wasn't anything. There wasn't much going on. There was a lot of great programs looking at, what to do once somebody was sick, but not the prevention pieces, and not enough looking at older adults in a really holistic way, sort of mind, body, and spirit, and what we do to age well. And so we just started creating, and where we started is not what it looks like now by any sense of the imagination. And of course, the virus has changed that completely once again. But our mission really is to help people stay strong, stay smart, and stay social. Those are the 3 key things that we think are important to health. And we do that predominantly by providing recreational activities for older adults. So we have about 30 instructors. We go into assisted living and retirement communities. We partner with Parks and Rec, low-income housing. We're very blessed. We set up a for-profit, nonprofit hybrid, so we can actually charge the people who can afford it and then provide it for free to everybody else. And so we've really been building those pieces. So yeah, doing a lot of fun stuff. Today online, we did a presentation on old radio shows that people remember from their history. And then we did a new program called Bingo Size, which is bingo and exercise together. So we did the first one of those on Zoom today. So I'll let you know how that went. I've been getting texts. I'm not entirely sure it worked out the way we wanted, but we'll get it figured out. The first time's always the hard.
That's right.
But we're always looking for fun new ways to engage people and keep them active.
What area do you serve? Just the Austin area, or what's your surrounding areas that you're serving?
We right now are Georgetown to San Marcos, and then we have a couple of clients in Bastrop, and then out in Lakeway as well. So we've got kind of a big circle. This was the year we were kind of proving the model and hoping maybe we could go expand into San Antonio or maybe even Houston. Um, the whole environment around older adult care is topsy-turvy right now. And we went from 125 classes a month to about 10 right now. So we're not sure if and when that's coming back. So we're reinventing and we'll figure it out. We'll see where it goes and what it looks like. We'll always be committed to this mission. It's just probably might be more virtual and less face-to-face, or we might look at writing books. I mean, there's all kinds of layers to what might need to happen until people can get back face-to-face again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's great. It's great work. And you talk about that as far as with us being at home and finding ways to stay active at home. How can we maintain our physical functioning while we're at home? This is just for everybody in general.
Yeah, I think, one of the biggest concerns, and you're completely right, for everybody, is that staying at home, we're tending to stay seated a whole lot more, which is not good for any of us. There's so many studies around what it does to you when you're remaining seated all day long. So the very first thing that comes to mind is just to get up, right? Once an hour, get up out of your chair, set an alarm of some kind. And if you are, able to walk, if you are ambulatory, find yourself a little route in the house. Maybe you just walk down the hall, or maybe it's around the dining room table 3 times. You develop some sort of ritual where you're actually moving your body. We've always said it's not about going to the gym. It's not about doing, some sort of particular fitness activity. It's just about moving in whatever way you find that you can. I giggled at my mom yesterday. She has some physical limitations, and she told me that when she has something in the microwave, she walks up and down her kitchen counter because she needs to hold on for as long as that's in the microwave. And so at least twice a day right now, she's walking for 5 minutes, which is great, just really simple. But I think building those kind of rituals is going to be important. Other really simple things, especially if you're not ambulatory, you're thinking about how you can move your arms and your body. I've kept a couple of, and I'm not kidding, vegetable cans of peas by the couch where I watch TV. And I've just taken to doing some very basic, bicep curls or raising above my head. Again, just trying to get the blood flowing in whatever way that you can. And you don't have to have fancy equipment, and it doesn't have to be a big formalized type of thing. I think it's been very interesting. Part of why our business has been impacted. We very early went online with our programs. So we have 3 times a week we do virtual classes. Mondays and Fridays you can do a seated fitness class with a live instructor with Damien. So that's always fun. On Wednesdays we do brain training or educational presentations. But so many places went virtual early on. I mean, all you have to do is Google yoga, Tai Chi, seated exercise, and you will find a plethora of different things that are out there. And you could do a different instructor every day and try something new. This is a great opportunity to do that. And the beauty of that is that you're not just exercising your body during that period, you're exercising your brain as well, because you're learning something new and you're doing a different instructor, and every movement that you do across your body helps to rewire your brain. So it's, the movement piece is really crucial, not only in just the health impact on your physical fitness, but on your cognitive fitness as well. I'd be curious go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I'd just be curious what exercises other people are doing. What are you guys doing to move your bodies around?
Well, that's, I'm glad that you went there and talked about that, because, one of my things that my dad always says is, if you don't use it, you lose it. And so he's always trying to, find ways to still be active. And we notice there is, he has a form of dementia. So we recognize that. And so we're always looking on ways to promote brain health for him, and ways to get him moving, whether it's to go check the mail, to it's 50 steps from his back door to his front door. So we have kind of like what your mom and what you were talking about with your mom, having him, do that, go from the back door to the front door, take your time doing that back and forth, because that adds up throughout the day. So what are some of those things that we should be doing for our brain health while we're trying to still stay moving, but what else can we do?
I wanted to tell you what my husband and I have been doing, because he has a bad back and he can't walk in the neighborhood with me or anything else. So we started doing chair aerobic exercise and following a video. And so we're doing chair exercise with a hilarious teacher. I mean, we laughed the whole time. And then I guess halfway through, we're using 2-pound weights. So we're exercising our arms, and that's been a really good thing. I enjoyed that.
That's fantastic. Good for you. And the fact that you're laughing and having fun while you're doing it. I mean, that's the key, really. If you, as you're looking for an exercise program, is to find something that's fun for you. If you don't like the music or you don't like the instructor, just hit next and go to the next video. Find the next one, because there's so much out there right now that you don't have to. It shouldn't feel like a burden, right? It should feel like fun. One of the things that I was thinking about in terms of both brain and physical health is dancing. I'm seeing a lot of people having a dance party, right? Pull out your old records, pull out your old, cassette tapes, put on some music and just dance. And that's something you can do, with your loved ones with dementia, something good for you as well. You can do it seated, you can do it standing, you can do it in a wheelchair. You're just going to boogie, like just to move and enjoy that music. And in all that, you're getting the reminiscence, you're getting the body movements, and you're getting, the cross body stuff that's good for your brain. So many layers there. When it comes to your cognitive health during this period, our greatest concern is, along with us not having contact with other people. So many of us are sitting in front of the television all day long. And a lot of research just shows that just essentially shut your brain off, really. There's not much going on. When they monitor your brain waves while you're watching TV, there's not much happening there, right? So we need to be mixing up our days with other things. Watching TV is fine. We all need to escape. And, of course you can learn things, and that's all good. But, thinking about reading a book or doing a puzzle, even those basic things, word finds, any of those kinds of things are great. But there's so much stuff. Again, I'm going to go back virtual, and I know that's really hard because not everybody has access, but to get on YouTube and watch, there are brain game videos, or we're offering programming as well. One program I think's got some awesome stuff going on is the Lifetime Connections program at Family Elder Care, and I can share information if you guys don't already have it. But it's a phone-based program, and so you can listen in, and every day you've got learning topics and bingo and exercise and brain games and all kinds of things going on there, which is really amazing. So even if you don't have the technologies to access right now, you can do a lot of these programs by phone, and that's a nice way to do it. As I mentioned, one concern really is the social isolation piece. One of the very best things you can do for your brain is to talk to other people, because you're engaging with them, you're watching their body movements, you're looking at their micro expressions, you're absorbing what they're saying, you're thinking of a response. That's probably the best thing you can do for your brain. And right now that's incredibly challenging for people, and especially as caregivers as well. I would suspect, you can only talk and engage so much with your loved one before you're going insane, right? I love my husband, but 24 hours a day at home with him is a long time, right?
Right.
Yes, that's terribly. It's all good for a while.
He's complaining right now. He heard me say that.
It's and it doesn't matter how much you love somebody when you're spending a lot of time with them, it can be challenging. And so it's really important that that you for yourself find ways to engage with other people, and that you find ways for your loved one to engage with other people if they're not able to do that on their own. So, coordinating a phone call for them, or a Zoom, setting them up on a FaceTime call so they can talk to a friend or family member and just give you a little bit of time to step away and breathe. Knowing that that's actually therapeutic for them. It's not just about you getting an escape. It's actually therapeutic and it's good for you. So
I wanted to mention something I've been doing with my neighbor. We see each other every day at 4, and so it's something to look forward to. And she brings her chair over, and we sit under a shade tree. She brings her chair and her water or tea, and we sit about 8 to 10 feet apart, and we just visit for an hour and laugh and talk, and it's something to look forward to. And I bring my dog out, and it's been really great this last 2 months. I really enjoyed it.
Good for you. Good for you. I'm finding I'm connecting, with family more than I ever have. We do a weekly call on Zoom with my family right now, and I see my siblings maybe twice a year, and every week now we have a theme or a game or something that we do, and then we really share about what's going on with us, and it's been amazing. So, we have to take the lead in those kinds of things, right? Not everybody thinks of it. If I hadn't suggested it, it never would have happened in my family. So stepping up and saying, hey, why don't we all do this, right? And not wait for somebody to bring it to you. We have to initiate those kinds of social contacts. And I think it's going to be crucial because we don't know how long we're going to be in this situation. And we certainly, as older adults, as older Americans, we're more at risk. So we need to be a lot more careful, and we need to be to isolate a bit more. And it's not good for us. So we have to be much more mindful of the mental, the physical, and the emotional things that are going to help us stay healthy going forward, right? If you already have a compromised immune system or, inflammation, all those things make us susceptible, and we want to keep all of that down as much as we can.
Hi, I'm Karen. I have a couple of questions.
Oh, hi, Karen.
Hi. Going back to the cross-body movement, can you explain simply why that helps the brain rewire?
Yeah, it has to do with using different parts of your brain to do certain things, right? So they even say things like brushing your teeth with the opposite hand. It helps build new neural connections. Okay. Or walking a different route around your neighborhood, driving a different direction to the grocery store. Anything that's going to challenge your brain to do something it doesn't normally do helps build new neural connections. And so learning a new skill, or like I said, just doing something different. But yeah, they've especially with the cross-body stuff, they kind of figured out with kids early on. Mm-hmm. It really helps children to learn. And so they've been applying a lot of that kind of stuff in older adults. And really, we're seeing now more than ever, a few years ago, people would tell you couldn't create a new brain cell, but the reality is that you actually can. And we're learning about that and how that works. And so it's, I think it's challenging in that we're not entirely sure how it works. And that we don't know what that looks like for dementia. And obviously there's a whole other thing at work when we're talking particularly about Alzheimer's. But it doesn't hurt, right? Okay. So we try everything we can. We put everything in place that we can to see how to move things forward.
I'm glad that Karen brought that up, because that was going to be one of the questions. When I've spoken with Amy and we've been on different panels, you've talked about that crossbody and the patterns. Can you share with them what you were talking about? Like, give an example of one of those patterns that they can do at home.
Yeah. Let me back up here so hopefully you can see my hands. Can you already see my hands? Okay. So I'm going to teach you a couple of just simple crossbody things that you can do. They're kind of fun games that you can play at home. And this is pretty, some of this feels like old kid stuff that we remember. You guys remember this one? Like you pat your head and you rub your stomach, right? You're doing two different things with your hands. But then you try and switch and it's a little harder, right? Depending on if you're left or right-handed. Okay, so here's a really basic one that you can do. Everybody put your hands out kind of in front of you. And we're just going to go up and down. Up and down, up and down, really easy, pretty simple, right? Your brain likes patterns. It makes it really easy to do that. You don't even have to think about it. All right, now we're going to go left and right. Again, simple pattern, not very complex there. But now we're going to push our brain to another level, okay? We're going to do one hand up and down while the other hand goes left and right. It changes it, right? You can almost feel the cogs in your brain turning. Now try that with the other hand up and down.
It's harder.
Yes, it's easier with one hand than the other.
Going all over
I can't do that.
And it's because your brain is obviously stronger on one side than the other, right? And it's responsible for different things. But it's simple challenges like that that can help you kind of improve your brain power. And the thing is, though, when this gets easy for you, like I can do this pretty much all day, all night now, it's not really a thing for me, then it's not actually working your brain anymore. And so that's what's key with activities is they can be fun, and recreation is important as well, right? We still want to have fun, but the therapeutic part comes in when we're pushing ourselves to do something different. Once it gets easy, then it's not necessarily therapeutic anymore. So for example, doing a crossword puzzle every day can still be a lot of fun, and it was probably really good for your brain the first 20 times you did it. But once you know how to do a crossword puzzle, you know how to do a crossword puzzle, right? It's the same kind of system and pattern over and over again. So it may be fun and you may enjoy it, keep doing it, but it may not necessarily be therapeutic. Here's another, I'll give you one more little thing you can do. Put your thumb up on one side, and then I'm just gonna have you point at it with the other finger. Make sure the one on your pointer that your gun is down, right? You want that thumb down. And now all you're going to do is switch. And see, I haven't done it in a long time. And then switch.
Oh, wait.
And switch. And switch. So I couldn't do that.
I can even do it once.
Yeah. For the first 20 times, my husband just giggled and laughed at me hysterically and videotaped me so he could make fun of me the whole thing. But it's once you learn how to do it, then it's clicking, right? And then you can move to another level and you can try and you can make them up, guys. These are, some of that stuff is just stuff my husband has made up. You can, put your fingers like this and then try to switch it, which I can't do. That one I haven't practiced. Right? So, make up games, make up patterns, make up things that you can do along the way, and it will challenge your brain.
Are these resources for activities? Are you able to find these online, or do you just make them up?
No, I can. Well, we've been creating them for a few years, but we actually have some free videos on our website, and so I'll provide those to you guys at the end so you can access them. So there's probably 8 or 10 different brain games. So you can do those with your family. The videos are about 5 minutes long, so there's not particularly long ones. And then we've also got some fitness videos on there, but again, not long. They're very specific, like work on your shoulders for 10 minutes or work on your hands for 10 minutes. And those would be great if your loved one has dementia, because it'd be something you can do together. And it can be a simple exercise, like spreading your fingers out, and it's working all those body parts that need to be worked one by one and not a huge big workout activity. We get it. Not everybody can do the 1 hour long aerobic, yoga, stretching, Tai Chi activity, right?
Absolutely.
I've had 3 back surgeries, so we do fitness that I can do.
We talked a little bit earlier about like this, and this is when we were starting the call and when we were waiting, some of those negative effects that, if you don't use it, you lose it. I was talking about that of just kind of just being immobile, of staying at home, not getting up. And you gave some great examples with your mom and what it does to our mental health. And I gave that example of how her granddaughter felt that her grandmother was just not being she wasn't socializing, she was self-isolated. What can families do, especially when someone does have dementia or Alzheimer's, to do? We gave great things like what we can do, but that might be harder for someone who might be like in more advanced stages.
You bet.
What other things can they do, I guess I should say?
Well, I think a lot of the things that I would recommend right now, and I did a little bit of research this morning, are very common things to what we, would do on any day with somebody who's got, heightened or advanced dementia. It's the simple things. It's getting people's attention span for short periods of time. It's helping them remain calm and relaxed as much as you can. Spending time reading out loud to them, finding a book that you can read together and you read for 15 minutes. Music, we mentioned music, spending some time and, taking somebody's hands and just helping them move with those movements and getting their arms up and down. You don't have to be a physical therapist to help your loved one to move. If ambulatory or not ambulatory, even if they were in a wheelchair, getting outside in nature. All the research right now is showing that nature is a powerful healer for what we're all going through right now. So spend time on the porch, get out on your back deck, have a glass of iced tea together, like Allison and her neighbor. Do things that feel social and normal in some way, and point out the birds that you see and pull a couple of leaves off the trees and hold them up and let them smell them and touch them and interact with them. We are all getting so stagnant in the environments that we're in right now. We've got to change the scenery, right? If you've got a loved one that sits in the same chair every day, think about turning that chair in another direction or rearrange the room, right? Just something to alleviate that boredom that we're all being impacted by at the moment.
We're doing something a little different. In the evenings, we used to play cards in the living room, but now we've moved outside and we watch the birds and the turtles, and we're playing cards and eating popcorn. And it's really nice to be outdoors and enjoy the sounds of the birds. So that's been really different. We've done that because of that COVID.
Yeah. Well, and depending on what your time element is as well. I mean, I know so many people are still trying to work, or they're homeschooling kids or grandkids. I mean, there's so many layers to everything that we're going through right now. I baked homemade bread the other day. I've never done that in my entire life. Like, I've never made bread with yeast and let it rise. What a great activity to do with a loved one, that you can just get them to help you knead the bread or stir the dough, or, make a cake, bake some cookies, do those things. It doesn't even matter if they turn out great. It's the experience of actually doing that together, and the smells as it cooks through your house and all of that. So it is challenging depending on what your time elements are, but I think we're all getting much more creative about how we entertain ourselves, right? And so think about, what would you want right now? What feels good to you? What makes you smile? What makes you happy? And then try to adapt that in a way that your loved one can participate in that. Because I think we're all craving the same thing right now. No matter what our cognitive ability is, we're all craving connection, release, peace, fun, giggles, tell a joke, whatever that is, find happiness. We're looking for some sense of joy, especially in a time where the answers are not going to be there for a while. Yeah. Those are just some of the thoughts off the top of my head. Old movies. The other thing was to pull up maybe some old movies or DVDs, or go through old photo albums. My mother just went through 30 different photo albums one by one. Pick one every day and go back and just kind of reminisce. So a lot of this isn't unusual to this time period, but I think it's stuff that we all need right now more than anything.
I agree. I think it's something that we all need, and it's helpful. Some of the ideas, like, we've gone through that drive-through exotic ranch. And there's one in New Braunfels. We went through one over by Corpus Cove area, and that was really interesting because we were able to still stay self-isolated, stayed in the car. And it got my dad out of the house, and he was engaged. He just really enjoyed looking at the different animals, and it created more conversation than the normal conversation that he's been engaging in the same for the past few weeks. It was something different for him. And then another one I wanted to share is, if you have grandkids around, and I had to go into the office on Monday. Well, my children had a friend they're all doing this like drive-by parades for birthdays.
Yeah.
Since we can't celebrate birthdays. And so they had one scheduled for Monday around noon. Well, my husband and I had to go in the office, so we couldn't help. And so and it was by our house. I said, hey, do you think that you guys can help? I go, it's right up the street. I go, they just have to, I go, you don't do anything. You stay in your car. The kids will have a sign. And so my dad was sitting in the passenger seat. My mom drove, and they happened to have like a sunroof in their car. And it was the most excitement that I think I've seen my father have in a very long time, because he thought it was one of the best concepts of we're driving by. It's for this young kid is excited. Everyone's celebrating, made signs. They tossed it to him to have on his driveway. He was like, when's the next one? So we've incorporated grandkids to help engage him in different activities. And so I thought that was just a really afterwards I was like, oh man, I was onto something. I was like, they could have done all the other ones.
We for Mother's Day, since I forgot to get a present, we're headed to the drive-in movies this weekend. I mean, when's the last time you went to go to a drive-in movie theater? And what's fun about this one out in Buda is they only do classic movies. So we're going to go see Grease at the drive-in movie. And my mom is so excited about going because it's reminiscent. She remembers seeing Grease at the drive-in when she was younger. And she's thrilled. She's absolutely thrilled. So, you get to order junk food and still sit in your car and be safe. And, what a great alternative, because goodness knows, please don't go to the movie theaters right now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I mentioned earlier the great connection that when I first met, I thought Aging Us Cool is a phenomenal organization. But then you gave the example of, was it your mom or Damien's mom, how she was just those negative effects, right, of her mental and physical health. Can you share that? And I always remember that because I think it's so inspirational. I constantly share it just because it gives true testimonial to how the effects of depression and immobility has on our body. So I just wanted to have you share that as well, too, if you don't mind.
Of course. Yeah, and I think it speaks to another layer of this, which is purpose, right? We all need to have a purpose in our lives and a reason to be. So my mother moved in with us about 5 years ago. She has some muscular problems that causes her to have difficulty walking. And we were starting to notice that she was getting a little bit forgetful. And my mom's sharp as a tack. Like there was no reason for this. There didn't seem to be any health problems going on. And we just kept kind of watching this and watching TV all day long, like that being the only thing she was doing. And so we decided we wanted to try and get her engaged a little bit. And we asked her if she would help us write educational presentations for Aging Is Cool. And we gave her a topic, which was probably, the Oscars or old TV shows or something that she really loved. We taught her how to use PowerPoint online and how to create a slideshow and how to put the images and the whole thing. Now, this is not a woman who was very tech savvy. And at the end of it, she had created this amazing program, asked us when she could do the next one, started picking topics that she liked herself. She has probably since then written 20 of our presentations. And it's funny you say that, Shannon. So the presentation that we did today, she actually wrote and she facilitated it today online, on Zoom. And, you know, her memory is back where it was. She's fine. Everything's good. The reality is she was bored. She was depressed. She didn't have a reason to get up in the mornings, and it was impacting her health, from her physical well-being to her cognitive well-being, and obviously her emotional well-being as well. And now we've got, you know, she's back. She's back. She's engaged. She's interacting, and she's helping other people. And I think that that last bit is really important, is the helping other people piece. So now is also a great time to be thinking about how you can volunteer with your loved one, right? Are there some things that you can make at home? Are there calls that you can make? Can you, we did an activity not too long ago where we purchased pillowcases and fabric paint. We made custom pillowcases for kids in domestic violence shelters, right? It was one of the best activities that we ever did. Like, all our older adult participants were thrilled, because just making crafts for the sake of making crafts doesn't really mean that much, especially if you're at home, right? You know, what are you going to hang it on the refrigerator? Like, it really doesn't matter as much. But to actually be creating something that's going to change a life or has a deeper meaning or a purpose just has exponential value on top of it. So, you know, getting creative around, can you volunteer together? Can you foster a kitten together? Can you, you know, what are those things that you can do together that gives life a little bit more meaning, so there's a reason to get up every day?
I love that. It's such a great testimonial, not just for your family, but for others that can relate. They whether they see it in their spouse or in a parent, and it really need to bring that point out. That's why I really wanted you to share that. And I would love to see that. I tell you, one day I'm going to meet your mom, and I'm going to be like, I feel like I know you already.
She's great. She's a lifesaver, and honestly, she's written so much stuff for us, and we don't have to pay her because she loves it.
Yeah, smart. That's awesome. That is so great. I mean, I just love all these fun ideas that you're sharing with us. And if there's anything else that you can let us know, how can we just go to your website? Is that the best way to find all these activities?
Yes. So agingiscool.com, and then if you go to the top, there's a button that says virtual. And if you click there, it'll take you to where we've got all our links. So there's fitness classes, there's brain training classes, there's a couple of presentations in there. There's yoga, a little bit of all kinds of things. So it's all free, just play around with it. And then Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we do live classes on Zoom at 1 o'clock. If you're interested, you can just email me at info@agingiscool.com. and I'll send you the links and everything. It is also, those are donation based, so if you can make a donation, great. If not, you're welcome to be there. We wanted it to be available to everybody. So yeah, just join us. And again, there's such good stuff out there. I mean, Age of Central Texas has got a massive list on their website of all different kinds of really cool stuff online, like virtual safaris and museum tours and symphony experiences. And, there's, the internet is a wealth, but I do want us to remember that connection is a big piece of this. And it's really easy for us to go down the rabbit hole of just watching everything online. Find ways to connect and interact with other people, even if you do it through this format. We need it, and we're going to need a lot more of it going forward until we can get our 8 hugs a day we're supposed to be getting for our health or something like that. I don't think we're getting our 8 hugs a day right now. I look forward to getting my 8 hugs. Damien does a pretty good job, but I don't think we're at 8 yet.
I agree. I absolutely agree. One of the things when we were talking about like the Zoom class with family member, the Zoom meetings with family members, we had a telesupport group call on Tuesday, And I believe Allie was on that call, and we talked about how sometimes it can be difficult with someone with dementia to do a video call because they might not quite understand. But we suggested connecting the computer to a TV, and using your USB port so that it's a lot larger and it looks more face to face. And when you have it on a nice big screen TV, it looks like, hey, I'm right here in front of you, and I can see this instead of on a small, iPhone. So that might be an idea, or something that somebody can be useful for. And at first, I thought it was going to be pretty hard to connect a laptop to a computer. And if I can do it, anybody can do it.
It's a great idea, and I don't know why I don't remember to do that more, because it's way easier. Well, and for those of us that are losing our eyesight gradually with age, it is nice to have the bigger screen for sure.
It is, and we were talking about that, and I was like, yeah, you're right, because my children have their dance and all their like extracurricular activities, and it was my daughter who actually started putting it on our big 60-inch television, or however big it was, because she wanted to see the teacher with her, because she was doing ballet on and dance, so she wanted to really see her feet. And I was like, oh, you're that one child, But she was on to something. She was really on to something. And I was like, yeah, it makes sense. It really does.
Great idea.
Amy, can I ask a question? On your weekly calls with your siblings, and you mentioned themes, can you give me some ideas what you mean themes?
You bet. Oh yeah, we've done I tell you what, I've got some creative family, which has been really, really fun. My sister brought this thing, so she's a school teacher, and her school counselor uses this tool. It's called the blob tree. And you can find it online. You can print it off. It's a little PDF, and it's these pictures of all these little people in a tree, and some of them are barely hanging on for dear life, and some of them are swinging on a swing, and some of them are laughing. And it's used by counselors to get people to talk about their emotions. So she brought the blob tree, and she said, who are you in this tree? And each of us had to pick who we were and explain why we were feeling that way. So it was a fantastic way to get people, because I've got a couple of family members that don't share like that. And it really got them going. So that was great. This week we are doing something. It's so 3 of my siblings are conspiring. They're going to show a picture online of a person that one of them knows, and then they're each going to tell a story about that person, and we have to figure out who really knows the person. So it's kind of like 2 of the people are lying, and one of them is really knows the person. So that's going to be fun. My mom loves silly poetry, so we all had to write a poem about COVID the other day, so that was interesting. We've also done share your music theme song. So what song is it that right now that you're feeling? So we did some of that, which was fun. We shared our favorite books once, and again had to explain why they were our favorite books. We've done that with our favorite TV shows as well, like what are you watching on Netflix? So we've just tried to have a topic every time so we don't get the stale air, and that usually gets us going, and then from there we can talk about and how's your job and how's your life and all that. But the giggles have been worth every bit. The sillier the better. Wear a silly hat day. I mean, whatever way you can come up with.
I love that. What about the charades? I bet that Karen, that might be another one that you might be able to do too, is charades.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any other suggestions? Or questions for Amy?
I had a question. You were talking about, was it the blob tree, B-L-O-B?
Yes, B-L-O-B.
Okay, that sounds like a lot of fun.
It's very interesting. I guess they've done it in schools for years, and yeah, it's a really interesting, especially when you make people elaborate what they're feeling. Yeah, we got some interesting answers out of that one.
Yes, sounds great.
Would you recommend cooking?
Always. I just recommend eating as a general.
That's why we like eating, so we like to cook too.
That's right. Yeah, I think we've all sort of gone back to cooking more and engaging your loved one in that, even like snapping the peas for you, or, just finding, especially if it's someone that is having more cognitive difficulties, to give them some of those simple tasks. I said, I made brownies the other day, or baking, and, have them lick the bowl, all those experiences that are so reminiscent that we just have been too busy for. So many of us don't do that anymore. So yeah, cooking is a plus. That stimulates lots of senses right there. So it's fantastic.
Does it help with the reconnect the brain?
I have not seen anything that says that, but I suppose that anything that you do, if you were learning a new recipe, anytime that you're learning something new is good for you. So if you were trying a new recipe or trying something, I said I baked bread for the first time, so learning how to knead a bread and how to fold it and all of that was a learning experience, which is always good for your brain.
Yeah, we are learning the new way of cooking, the sous vide, cooking without overcooking.
Yeah. Yeah, pick a different ethnicity of food than you normally eat. If you've never made sushi, try and make some sushi. If you've never had, Greek food, find a Greek recipe. Try new, flavors and things to kind of stimulate your senses in different ways. What a fun thing to do once a week. Just pick something new that you can all experience together.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's a great question. Does anyone have any other questions for Amy? If you are just joining us and you missed the very beginning, I am going to be sending you this presentation in your email, so you'll have it also with Amy's contact information and the Aging is Cool website, so that you guys will be able to contact Amy, reach out to her if you want one of those Zoom links so that you can do that. I know I firsthand am going to be setting my dad up for doing that for next week. He will have something to do for 3 days next week at 1 o'clock. So that will keep him busy. Does anybody have any other questions?
She gave us some great ideas. I appreciate it.
Good. Well, I just know that my thoughts are with all of you. We're in such an interesting boat right now, and more than anything, I think what's apparent is how this has kind of brought us all together in certain ways, because we're all going through a very common experience. So, just be safe and healthy, and just don't sit in your chair all day long. Get up. I'm going to go walk in the yard after this. Practice what I preach, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to go try to look to see if I can see any airplanes fly by. And
yep.
And enjoy this. The weather has been beautiful this past couple of days. We've just enjoyed being outside more. We've done a little bit more garden. I kill every plant. Every year I attempt, and every year I fail. But luckily, they're still alive. And I'm hoping it's because we're home and there's more people to tend to them, and they've been getting their nutrients. So I've also even started talking to my plants too. As we're outside, because no one else wants to listen to me.
You say that's just loneliness right there.
Yeah, so I was like, well, I will go tell my plants about my great day, since my children don't want to hear this. So it's been just a great, we're learning something new. I think that's always going back to what we said. We try to learn something new. We're using our brain. Whether it's learning a new instrument, go back and playing an instrument, using music, staying active is so important. This is why I think what Aging is Cool is doing is phenomenal. So I'm glad that you all joined us today. And thank you, Amy, for doing this. I really do appreciate it.
Of course, it's my pleasure. It was nice meeting everybody, and please do just reach out. I'm sitting right here at home. I'm sure I can answer you and get you some resources in your hands. So thank you so much. And thanks for all you do.
No problem. And you guys know we're doing this every Wednesday at 2:00. Next Wednesday, we will have Brookdale Hospice talk about Hospice 101. And I'm going to be interested on that one just because there's so many misperceptions of hospice, and I want to learn more. I don't know enough about it. So it's always a great conversation to have when it's time to call hospice, what hospice can do for us. So if you're interested on that one, sign up for that class. If you haven't figured it out, it's the same meeting ID. So if you've joined this class, you guys already know the login information. So feel free to join that one. And Amy, thank you again. I appreciate you joining. Stay safe and stay well.
Wonderful. You too. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
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 I think is